This is the Horse Radio Network.
Greetings, everyone. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily, episode 1435, brought to you today by American Harvest Naturals Equine Hemp Supplement. Have you ever wondered why horses don't get cavities? Or do they? And we just don't know it. Dr. Jeff Tucker explains, and we'll get right to our tip after we learn a little bit more about American Harvest Naturals Equine Hemp Supplement. Is your horse showing signs of nervousness, inflammation, pain, or digestive issues? If so, American Harvest products might be the solution you need. American Harvest's natural equine hemp pellets are vet formulated and produced from natural hemp. The palatable pelleted formula is manufactured with potent raw CBD using no chemical processing, so your horse will love the taste as much as you will love the benefits. Look for the full line of American Harvest products at your local equine shop, any Hubbard dealer, or you can go online to store.alltech.com. And right now, American Harvest is offering an exclusive giveaway for you, loyal Horse Radio Network listeners. One lucky winner will receive a 90-day supply of American Harvest equine products. Check out today's show notes for details on how to enter. And I won the lottery. I managed to track down Dr. Jeff Tucker from the horsesadvocate.com. Dr. Tucker is, yes, a doctor. He's a veterinarian, but he's a specialist. All he does is horses' teeth. So I guess technically he's a doctor of veterinary medicine dentist. And thanks for sitting still long enough for me to chat with you today.
As long as you don't call me a tooth fairy, I'm all yours.
Do you pull out a lot of teeth? Do you do all of that? No?
I absolutely don't. In fact, I think pulling teeth is something of last resort in a horse.
I think from the horse's point of view, the horse would probably agree.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And anyway, this is a quiz question that you didn't know about, but it just popped into my head. Do horses ever get cavities?
All the time.
No.
Yes.
What do you do? You can't put a fill, or do you put a filling in there?
Oh gosh, you're opening up a can of worms. Let's just go with it. When I went to vet school back in 1980 at that small place in upstate New York, I don't know if you ever heard of it, Cornell, I had an interest in teeth, and I never saw anything about cavities or fractured cheek teeth. It just didn't occur. And then suddenly I started to see them, and I would get at least one, maybe two horses a week with fractured cheek teeth. And I'll never forget going to Glasgow, Scotland in 2002. And they started discussing these fractured cheek teeth, and they were hunching their shoulders saying, we have no idea where fractured cheek teeth are coming from. And we're all at a loss, but it's usually the fourth cheek tooth back on the uppers. But I've seen it in every cheek tooth. They have 6 on the top and the bottom, left and right. So that's 24 cheek teeth, and I've seen every one of them fracture. So I started to put 2 and 2 together and ask myself what's going on. And soon the colleagues of mine who really took an interest in dentistry would examine the mouth with a light source and heavily sedated horse, mouth jacked open. They would start measuring these things called pulp chambers. And if you remember that horses' teeth are not shark teeth, dog teeth, or human teeth. They're unique. And they have these canals that start at the chewing surface and go down into the root system. And there's about 5 of them, give or take, on every cheek tooth. And what they were noticing is these canals start to decay. They start to get deeper. They start to get soft. They start to coalesce. They start to cause necrosis of the enamel. And on a lot of horses, I go in and I find that there's a depression in the chewing surface as probably the size of your finger. Your finger can actually fit in there, not all the way down, but you can just kind of feel it. And these horses, it's like a wedge going into a log. And for all of you who've ever split wood for a fireplace, you take the wedge and you split it and it breaks apart. And what I'm finding is the tooth starts to fill with food material that starts to ferment. And if you catch it at the right time, you'll actually see the tooth is bending. And it's like, how do I say this? It doesn't just split. It just starts to bend off to the side. And then at one instant in time, it snaps off, usually at the gum line. It can be above, it can be below, but it's usually right around the gum line. And you've got a fraction of the tooth, maybe a quarter of it, maybe half, maybe 3/4 of the tooth that just breaks off and is held on by the gum.
Ew.
And ooh. And what's interesting is most horses don't feel it because they just don't have the innervation of the tooth. It's been decaying for so long that the nerve has receded back into the tooth and you don't have a toothache. The horse is chewing, and it's an incidental finding on a routine dentistry exam. On the flip side, if that cheek tooth, the fracture goes off into the cheek, I've seen holes in the cheek from it wearing up and down. I've seen it go into the tongue and have holes in the tongue. And some of these horses just start packing a lot of food, and they're obviously showing signs of discomfort, difficulty in chewing, yet they'll eat every meal. And I'll come in there, and the smell that comes out of there is that sweet, fermenting smell of bacteria that's digesting the food in the mouth. It's like silage. And then I just, medicate the horse with a little bit of painkillers. I go in there and I place the forceps on the fracture piece and gently rock it out and file up the sharp edges. And the remaining tooth remains healthy. It's kind of amazing.
Oh, so the whole tooth isn't necessarily a goner, huh?
You got it.
Interesting.
You got it. Now, here's another interesting thing. I wish I had the documentation for this. I got it on a good source out of a human book, but they said in 1932, they were having a lot of cavities in children. I think it was in Brooklyn. And the dentists did a little bit of a survey and figured out that what was causing the decay was oatmeal. And they took oatmeal away from the children, and the cavities basically stopped forming. So we kind of forget that inside the horse's mouth, there's approximately 700 to 1,200 individual families of bacteria. And I'll never forget, Texas A&M did a study where they just flushed out the horse's mouth. And through the technology that we have today, you can do DNA sequencing and identify which bacteria are actually living in your mouth. Another thought is, remember, what's inside your mouth is outside your body. If you think of it as a tube that starts at your lips and goes to your anus, whatever's in that tube does not belong in your body unless it's supposed to be there. So you absorb all the nutrients for food, but all the other stuff like the bacteria that's helping to digest the food shouldn't come across the barrier. Otherwise, you have an infection and you die. Well, these bacteria in the mouth are huge. And they discovered, Texas A&M did, that if you give one dose of, I can't pronounce the word, ficoxabrib or whatever it's called. You and I call it Previcox or Equiox. One dose wiped out a whole family of bacteria. So you've got horses that are now on lots of drugs, medications of all sorts, whether it's anti-ulcer, anti-inflammatory, antibiotics. They're all affecting the gut microbes that exist in the mouth. And on top of that, we feed a lot of horses sugar, and those sugar will change the bacterial flora in the mouth. And I believe that's where these fractured teeth are coming from, these cavities. And the history says back in the 80s, it didn't exist. If you look at the old text, there was no fractured cheek teeth. Now it happens all the time. So on my website, thehorsesadvocate.com, right on the topics page, if you go to teeth and oral cavities, you're going to see a lot of teeth, cheek teeth fractures. I'm taking a look at it right now, and there are pages upon pages where you can see these decayed teeth and pieces that have taken out in the various forms. but it's not life-threatening to your horse. It just can cause pain. So I think that's a great place where you can start and see some fractured teeth if you're interested.
There we go. And it might not be life-threatening to your horse, but if his mouth hurts, it could be life-threatening to you. So check it out today. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements made by guests on the Horse Tip Daily. Please use your own judgment when listening to the tips on this show.